I made a post asking you guys for your wildest school confessions because I figured we'd get the classics. I cheated on a quiz. I called my teacher mom on accident. But what I got instead didn't feel like confessions. No, these felt like future court cases. Because based off these things I'm about to read to you, I'm pretty sure that some of your schools were literally just GTA Online servers. But before we even start, I need to make something very clear. These are your guys' stories, okay? Not mine. So if something sounds insane or freaky, don't blame me. But without further ado, let's get into it. We're starting off with one that just made me pause and stare at the wall for a couple minutes after reading it. This confession felt like the opening scene of a Netflix documentary with how cinematic it was. They titled it, "I accidentally caused a school lockdown." Here we go. I hid 6 small Bluetooth speakers in the ceiling tiles of every classroom I had, thinking that it would be funny to play ghost sounds during class. But fast forward to Friday, I'm in the library during my free period, and I open a mobile shooter game. I totally forgot my phone was still synced to all 6 speakers across the wing, and as soon as the match started, the entire hallway exploded with the sound of gunfire and reloading. If I heard those sounds while in class, I would have jumped out the window. Every man for themselves at that point. Because the speakers were inside the ceiling, it sounded like it was coming from everywhere and nowhere at the same time. I heard a teacher down the hall scream, "Run!" and the lockdown alarm started blaring. I cannot imagine the horror of a school lockdown starting and knowing I caused it. Or actually, I guess I can because I did that too. But anyways, I had to sit there in the library, heart racing, frantically trying to disconnect my Bluetooth while hearing people cry. I eventually ran to my homeroom so I wouldn't look suspicious, and 20 minutes later, I heard the main entrance doors get kicked. I don't know what's about to happen next, but dog, you are cooked. We watched through the door window as police officers in full tactical gear and dogs ran through the hall with weapons out. Not the dogs. It was a 3-hour lockdown. They never found the speakers, and I graduated without anyone ever knowing it was my phone. What do you mean they never found the speakers? So a SWAT team just pulled up to your school with dogs, looked for 3 hours trying to find where those sounds came from, and then they were just like,
"Oh well, we tried. Anyways, who's hungry?"
If one thing went wrong in this scenario, you wouldn't even be here typing this message. You'd be in a documentary. First of all, you hid 6 Bluetooth speakers in ceiling tiles. Why? And I know you said it was because you wanted to play ghost sounds, but you didn't even say whether you actually ended up doing that. Also, how did you even manage to sneak the Bluetooth speakers in tiles without getting caught? I know I said my friends and I used to stick paper airplanes in the ceiling, but that was hard enough to do without getting caught. This is next level. But based off reading this story, I know exactly what type of person you are. And that is a rich person, because you could afford 6 Bluetooth speakers. Either you went on the show Wheel of Fortune and actually won, or your parents are rolling in dough. So congratulations on that. But just imagine being the poor teacher in one of these classes where the speakers are. You randomly hear gunshots and you're freaking out trying to find the source of where it's coming from while all the other students are going crazy. Like I've said before, if I was a student in one of these classes, I'm jumping out the window. And if there's not a window, you're gonna find me in those vents. The one thing I'm not doing is staying in that class. This is how the teacher probably reacted in this scenario.
So as you guys can see, oh my gosh, what is that? Everyone get under their desks now, the main club.
This is how the kid who thinks he's the main character probably reacted.
Don't worry everyone, I'll save the day.
How the kid who's deaf reacts. How the kid who's secretly a robot reacted. Oh no, what is happening? But whoever sent this confession made one small mistake, because you mentioned that you graduated without anyone knowing that it was your phone. But guess what? I know it was your phone, and I've contacted your school and local law enforcement, and there will be people coming to your house very shortly to arrest you. Nah, I'm just kidding. But the one question I do have is, are those speakers still in the walls today? Because I low-key need some new ones, you know what I'm saying? Now yes, that was only the first confession. And after that one, you would think the next confessions would be lighter. Wrong. Because here's the next one. I convinced my best friend to throw a chair at my old English teacher. And one time I made laxative cookies and passed them out to my class. Okay, now correct me if I'm wrong, but by the way you typed this, it really sounded like you were bragging about doing it. Almost as if you were proud of this. And if that's the case, you're a villain! You convinced your best friend to throw a chair at your old English teacher? Which means you didn't even throw the chair yourself? Your role was somehow even worse. How did you even convince your friend to do this? What, do you have superpowers or something? Are you just like that one girl in the show Gen V where you can put your hand on someone and whatever you tell them to do, they'll listen? I need to know how this story ended. Was the teacher okay? Because I've had a chair thrown at me before. Don't ask. But let me tell you, I barely survived it. So if I was an old man and I got hit by one, it would probably look like this. But it didn't end there. No, because then you casually added,
oh yeah, also one time I made laxative cookies and passed them out to my class.
The one thing I keep trying to figure out when reading these stories is, what do you gain from this? Even if you were like,
oh, there's this one kid in my class I really don't like.
Why would you do this to the whole class? I feel like, if anything, the person who is negatively affected by this the most is you. Because the class probably just sounded like this for a week straight. Oh my God. I've tried tried laxatives before, and we all know what happened when I did that.
There's an explosion going off in my stomach. Mile 3, I'm sprinting home because I can't hold it in much longer. Do not try this.
All right, this next confession is super refreshing compared to the previous one because I don't feel like you should be on the FBI watch list after reading it. I was sitting in my reading class. We were reading Charlotte's Web and I had to go to the bathroom so bad, but the teacher never saw me raise my hand. So I accidentally peed and left a puddle on the floor. I only told one person when it happened, LOL. To be honest, we have all done this. And I don't want to see no comments saying, nah, Tyler, that's just you. Stop the cap, okay? We have all done this. There's two types of people in this world. The first is those who have peed their pants in school because the teacher wouldn't let them go to the bathroom. And then there's liars. I remember the first time I peed my pants in school. I say first time like it happened a lot. It didn't, okay? I promise you guys. Only like 8 times. But anyways, the first time I did it, I really had to go pee. But my teacher kept insisting that since we just got back from lunch, I shouldn't have needed to go. So I was just like, all right, I'll prove to you that I have to go. And I wet my pants on purpose. Now I do regret doing this because my mom had to come bring me a new pair of pants and the whole class laughed at me. But still, this was about proving a point to my teacher. The only thing I'm a little confused about is that you said you left a puddle on the ground. So did it like leak all the way down your leg onto the ground? You know, I don't even want to know actually. Next confession is something that I didn't even know they do in schools. But after doing some research, I feel bad for y'all. Because apparently, if you didn't know, in some schools, they have something called a phone ban, which means you literally can't have a phone in school at all. Let me just tell you right now, I would not have graduated if this was the case at my school. Because here's their confession. So before the phone ban was taking place on our school, the kids would be on their phones everywhere. And I mean it. In the classroom, the bathroom, and in the lunchroom and hallways. Anywhere you could think of, even the janitor's closet. Why do the janitors always have to deal with the most unnecessary drama every day? And so, one time in class, everyone was on their phones, and the teacher didn't care because she only taught to the kids who wanted to learn. And while everybody thought they were slick, suddenly the dean walked in, and he saw everyone's phone. And the second he saw, he confiscated every single phone. Even searched through some kids' backpacks who tried to hide it. And he walked away holding like 20 phones. And that period, I went to the bathroom, and when I walked by the dean's office, holy, I saw his desk filled with phones. Like probably 40K worth of phones just sitting there. And by the end of the day, when all of the kids went to go get their phones back, the entire floor was packed with kids waiting to get their phones back. They all waited there for like an extra 30 minutes. To be honest, if I was the principal at your school and I confiscated all those phones, they would have been on eBay 30 minutes later. I'm just saying. Because 40K in phones? That's the teacher's salary for the whole year. So if there's a chance to get the bag, I'm going for it. Your principal's desk just turned into an Apple store. I also love how the teacher didn't even care about kids being on their phones at all. It's like whenever my dog tries to jump on my bed. You can only tell them to get down so many times before you just accept it and let them do whatever they want. Now for the next confession, we got someone saying, my English teacher was caught doing the boombaya with the history teacher in the school bathroom and they were fired. Rumors say they got married on Christmas Day. Wait, why would you get fired for doing the boombaya in school? Okay, wait, never mind. I now understand why they got fired. I just looked up what boombaya means and now it makes sense. Because I thought boombaya was a type of dance, like the Macarena or something. I didn't think it was freaky. Wait, now that I actually know what boombaya means, let me read this again. My English teacher was caught doing the boombaya with the history teacher in the school bathroom. Oh my gosh, the school bathroom? Not even like in the teacher's lounge or something? First of all, why is the school bathroom always where the crimes happen? That's not even a romantic setting. Nothing good has ever happened in there and it always smells like dookie. Like, for real though, they need to put a humidifier in there or something. And then rumors say they got married on Christmas Day, which is like the funniest possible rumor ever because it makes it sound like a Hallmark movie. In theaters now, they lost their jobs, but they found love. Well, I hope they lived happily ever after on the street probably because I'm sure that's where they were after getting fired. I like that word though. Boombaya. Boombaya. Boom. Now I need to warn you. This next confession is intense, so I must give a trigger warning for it. And also, please don't try this at home. Here it is. I broke the leg of a chair and poked a kid in the eye. I then chucked the chair at a teacher, ran off, and jumped the fence to leave. That's the confession. No context at all. Okay, folks, let's take our bets. On the off chance that this story is true, where is this person now? A, prison. B, an insane asylum. Or C, a star actor on a sitcom. You guessed it. The correct answer is C, because the person who submitted this story is none other than young Sheldon. I'm just kidding. That's not true. I just have beef with young Sheldon. Don't ask why. But anyways, can someone tell me why chairs seem to be a recurring character in all these confessions? Like if you were playing Call of Duty Zombies and your weapon of choice was between a ray gun, a grenade launcher, and a school chair, I'm starting to think the chair is the best one to go with. I also like how they said they ran off and jumped the fence to leave. Like they were just injected with Compound V and got superpowers now. And what kills me is how casual it is. Like this person is just describing a normal Tuesday. My brother, this was not a school confession. This was a GTA mission. Okay, we have to pivot because if we stay here too long, all the people watching this are gonna start thinking that all my viewers are just straight up criminals. So let's move on to the next confession. This one is a revenge plot that reads like someone watched too many dramas and decided to try it out in real life. So I framed my ex-boyfriend and blamed him for all that I'm about to tell you. So basically, one of his friends gave me his password to log into his school account. So that's what I did. And from his account, I started posting inappropriate stuff on the Google Classrooms and writing a bunch of inappropriate stuff. And then on my private Instagram account, I posted it exposing him and I shared it with everyone. And then I even made fake videos of my ex-boyfriend saying all this stuff and everybody believed it. The whole school started gossiping about him and then he started losing all his friends as well. I want to make one thing clear to the person who submitted this. I don't care if you are someone who likes watching my videos. I am 100% on your ex-boyfriend's side. I get that you were angry, but this is just straight up criminal. This story is exactly why I'm so scared about how AI is going to change the future. Because you can just fake stuff to make someone look guilty so easily. Like just the other day, someone posted an AI video of me saying,
Ooh, woo. And then also, I want milk, mommy.
so if you guys saw that video, it was fake, okay? It was fake. Let's keep going. When I was younger, my dad was extremely overprotective of me. He was constantly warning me about danger and would never let me go anywhere after school with my friends. I always thought he was embarrassing and dramatic, especially around other kids. And I just wanted to prove that I could handle things on my own. One day, after school, I ignored his warnings and went on an adventure on my own. But I ended up getting kidnapped and taken very far from home. What am I reading right now? I was surrounded by people who didn't look or act like anyone I knew. And I had no idea how I was gonna get back. At the same time, my dad realized I was gone and set out to find me. He crossed long distances, faced his fears, and met a lady with a really bad memory who helped guide him along the way. Wait, isn't this just the plot to Finding Nemo? Their dad was overprotective, they left home one day and got lost, and then they got surrounded by people who didn't look or act like anyone they knew, just like when Nemo goes into the fish tank. Did Nemo himself send this one in? Whatever, let's finish reading to see if it ends the same way. Eventually, my dad finally found me, and we were reunited. He learned that he couldn't protect me forever, and I learned that his rules came from love. After that day, our relationship completely changed. Yeah, this is literally the plot to Finding Nemo, which can only mean one thing. Nemo is one of my subscribers! Let's go! Thanks for watching the videos, Nemo. I'm a big fan of you too. Nemo, be honest. Are you one of the people in the comments that tell me to oil up? You don't gotta lie. All right, guys, don't worry. Because for this next confession, I made sure that it's not the plot to a Disney movie. Or maybe it is, but it's just one I haven't seen yet. I don't know. I stopped watching Disney movies after Inside Out came out because the sadness character was just really annoying to me. Like, respectfully, why didn't they just get rid of her? Then boom, you have no more sadness. Sorry, anyways. So I liked this girl in my class for 2 whole years. And I was like, all right, I'm done. And I went out to confess it to her. Instead of saying yes or no, she just like literally ignored me for like 3 whole months. Then she called me while standing with her girl gangster gang. And I ain't gonna lie, if you see a girl with her girl gangster gang, do not approach. It never ends well. Me, confused, went to her and she just started saying that I'm ugly, I'm stupid. Then she started to beat me with her gang. What? Wait, hold up. Sorry, I was just making sure I read that right. Let's continue. Then she called her older brother and told him that I love her. Then his brother, with 2 of his friends, started hitting me. I ain't reading the rest of this Wattpad story, dog. Let's move on. I was dating a girl, let's name her Susan. Then there's a new girl in my class, and let's name her Sarah. Sarah was beautiful, so I confessed to her in a piece of paper saying, "Hi Sarah, I love you and hate Susan. You are the best." What I didn't know is they were besties. So Sarah told Susan about what's going on, then we broke up. I wish I had that confidence right now to talk to a girl. Yo, I'm gonna be straight up. If you told me this was a message I typed like 10 years ago and just completely forgot about, I would genuinely believe you. Because this for real sounds like me back when I was in middle school. Like, I've never told you guys this before, but I have something to admit. I actually have had a girlfriend before. Yes, I know, I've betrayed your trust. I've always told you guys I didn't, but let me explain. So I was in 7th grade and me and this girl liked each other. But up to this point in my life, the only girl I was ever able to hold a conversation with was my mother. So even though I liked this girl, I knew I couldn't ask her out. But everyone knew we liked each other. So one day at lunch, our friends tricked us into going into the same room with each other. And when I arrived, both our friend groups are just standing there pressuring me. So I asked the girl, "Do you want to be my girlfriend?" She said yes, of course, because, you know, your boy's got Riz. What can I say? And that was also the moment I found out what her voice sounded like because I literally never talked to her before. But then, because I didn't know what to do, I just said, "Cool." And I turned around and left. So the whole time we were dating, I did not talk to her once because I was still scared to. And we never actually formally broke up. So for all I know, we might still be dating to this day. I should probably text her and find out actually. Let me do that. Never mind. She has a kid now. So I think we're done. Moving on. Basically, this weird guy in my class brought a machete to school. A machete? to school? Surely he had no bad intentions, right? His friends found it in his bag while looking for a stapler, and those dudes screamed so loud when they found it, and the teacher immediately noticed the huge machete in their hands, and when they questioned the dude about it, he had the audacity to tell the teacher that he accidentally brought it to school. And dude only got suspended for a week, which is crazy, because if I was the school administration, I would expel that fool. Apparently, dude is going to therapy and psych counseling, which is good for him, I guess. Still wonder what would have happened if his friends didn't find it. This story actually makes me angry. Like, this is genuinely unacceptable. This is something that just cannot happen, okay? In no world is it okay for you to snitch on your boy for bringing a machete to school. Like, yeah, I get it. I understand. The dude brought a machete to school and is probably up to no good with it. But if you're his friends and you see that machete, you just gotta act like nothing happened. Because if you snitch to your teachers and call him out, then were you really ever his friend in the first place? And plus, if he did bring this machete to do something bad, who do you think he's going for first, huh? Probably his ex-friends who snitched on him. The only real question I got about this is, what kind of backpack was homie bringing to school that he could fit a machete in? He must have been walking around with one of these. I remember when I was in school, I played baseball and I would carry my bag with all my gear in it, glove, helmet, but the one thing that didn't fit inside my bag was my bat. So I would walk around school carrying it, not thinking anything of it, until a faculty member stopped me one day and they threatened to give me detention for carrying around a weapon. I didn't realize it at the time, but then I was like, oh, this does kind of look like a weapon, doesn't it? So of course, I apologized and said it wouldn't happen again, and then I actually used it as a weapon and took a swing at her. No, I'm just playing. I did not do that. I don't advocate for that, okay? Yeah. I'm glad the kid in this story is getting help though, because it sounds like he needs it. Or maybe he didn't. Maybe he just wanted to use that machete to, I don't know, cut his lunch or something. No, that he was definitely using it for something bad. So I was addicted to the small cartons of milk you get at school. Yeah, I'm just gonna stop you right there. I need to figure out who sent this story in and block them on all social medias, because being addicted to the school chocolate milk should be a crime. Sadly, the chocolate milk one was popular and it was hard to get some. And so alas, starts the story of how I gambled at lunch. So I was popular among the other fellow students for trading my lunch for their chocolate milk. Sometimes I would bring cards to make it a fair trade if someone would rather do that instead, or just full on trade my entire lunch. The most I ever drank before lunch period was over was about 45 cartons. No, I'm sorry, that has to be a typo. Because if you truly drank 45 cartons of milk, you would not be here. You would either be A, in the hospital, or probably have some sort of mutation and grow a third arm from whatever the heck they put in that milk. I hope you realize that there is a 0% chance your DNA is the same as before you started drinking all that milk. The one thing I will say, the inside of your body probably looks like Flush Factory now. I am surprised that I stayed such a tiny twig through it all. Though the withdrawal was bad, I'm over it, and chocolate milk is now dangerous for me. Well, I will pray for you, because this is truly a horrible addiction. And also, I'm gonna report you to the FBI. I think that's about the third person on this list I've reported to the FBI. I'm very concerned for you guys. Speaking of things that will make you sick, in my first period, I felt sick. So I went to the sink, but I couldn't make it, so I threw up on my friend, then I went home. Why did you say this so casually? You threw up on your friend and then left? That's not even a confession. That's a hit and run. You didn't even say sorry in the story. You just exited the situation like, yo, my bad. I'm out though, see ya. Imagine being the friend, or ex-friend, I'm guessing now. But you're standing there, first period, not even fully awake yet. You're still seeing those squiggly things in your eyes from how tired you are. And out of nowhere, bam, you're covered in your homie's Taco Bell from last night. It's kind of cute in a way though. It's almost like how birds feed their kids by regurgitating the food, except it was your homie doing it. Oh, that's disgusting. I think your friend needed to go home more than you did, because you probably felt better after throwing up, but the pain and agony was just starting for your friend. I'm sure he still gets nightmares about you doing that to him. Personally, my friendship ain't surviving that. What I've learned from all these confessions and the many, many more you guys sent in that I couldn't even put in the video because of how inappropriate and dark they were, is that you guys scare me, seriously. I made a video asking you guys for your worst school confessions, but these confessions were so horrifying that I decided to make a part 2. Because somehow, the stories you sent this time feel less like school confessions and more like deleted scenes
from a fever dream.
Like at this point, I'm genuinely starting to believe some of your schools were not even schools at all. They were just social experiments with really bad food and body odor. But before we start, I need to make the same thing very clear that I did last time. These are your stories, not mine. So if something in this video sounds completely unhinged, morally concerning, or like it should be shown to a jury one day, don't look at me. We're starting off with a confession that made me pause for a second after reading it. Not because it was crazy intense, but because I genuinely could not believe a human being was capable of such whimsy and foolishness.
One time, the fire alarm went off at school, and it wasn't a drill. For the first minute, kids were running around like headless chickens. But after looking at the board and probably slightly hungover teachers, everyone realized it probably was not that serious. We all had to sit out in the blazing hot sun for almost an hour while teachers teachers were trying to figure out what happened. There were all these rumors going around about what might have started the fire, but the real reason was way dumber. Turns out, some random kid burnt toast in the bathroom.
First of all, what do you mean toast in the bathroom? Like, I'm sorry, how do you even get to that point in your day? That's not a normal school mistake. That can only happen after waking up and genuinely thinking,
you know what? Today, I'm bringing breakfast into the least appetizing room in the whole world.
I'm just gonna say it. I do not believe for 1 second that this was just some random kid. No, it was definitely you. Absolutely 120% you. Because if it was really some random kid, how would anybody even know? Did he walk out of the bathroom looking like a Looney Tunes character? Just smelling like butter with 2 pieces of blackened Wonder Bread still in his hand? I doubt it. If I was the kid who burnt toast in a school bathroom, I'm not getting caught. That toaster is gone. I'm flushing it down the toilet. I'm eating the evidence. I'm transferring schools, whatever it takes. Because he, and it's definitely a he, because this is always boys doing dumb stuff like this, but he probably yeeted that double action Walmart toaster through the ceiling and started bush camping like season 1 in Fortnite. So you expect me to believe that somehow whoever did this owned up to their crimes? Or did someone just investigate the situation and figure out what happened like, you know what? I say, Watson, do you notice the smidgen of Nutella on that little chap's face? Arrest him. This confession would have been so much better if you would just admit you're the one who did this. I know you're a little freaky and like eating toast in the bathroom. It's okay to admit it. We all have our vices. That one was just ridiculous, but this next one is evil. Like genuinely serial killer vibes.
A month before graduation, a guy named Hank was named valedictorian of our grade. I was obviously annoyed because he would always call me names and bully me when nobody else was around. But to everyone else, he was basically perfect. Other classmates, teachers, and staff loved him because of his kind personality and the fact he led our school's water polo team to 2 championships. What made it even worse was that his grades weren't even that crazy. He had a B- in 4 classes and a B in the other 2. So when he got named valedictorian, that was the final straw for me. He had to be stopped. Then, a day before graduation, 10 iPads randomly vanished from the tech store next to our school. And since the store had no security cameras or anything like that, I saw it as the perfect opportunity. I made 20 different email addresses and sent 20 different emails accusing Hank of stealing a suitcase full of iPads from the store. The next day, police pulled him out of school, and he didn't get charged anything, but he did lose his valedictorian, and they gave the spot
to the salutatorian instead. What is a salutatorian? Wait, no, it says salutatorian. Oh, I don't even know what that is either.
He also had a water polo scholarship to a college in Oklahoma, and that got revoked the next day too. He's currently in his 3rd year of community college.
There is so much wrong with this story that I genuinely do not even know where to start. Brother, you're talking about the high school valedictorian, not the Joker. The way you said that makes it sound like Hank was in the basement of the school building a machine that turns all the cafeteria milk sour and only you could save the day. But no, this was just some random dude named Hank with decent grades and a passion for a sport designed for seals. I'm sorry, but water polo is such a funny sport to be evil in. To be honest, I think the scariest part of this confession is how relaxed you are. It's just way too casual for some of the most insane things I've ever heard.
So I made 20 different email addresses.
You say it like you're reading a weather update. Like, yep, partly cloudy skies today, 78 degrees. Hank's future is cooked, by the way. If he really was bullying you when nobody was around, yeah, that makes him kind of stink. But there is a massive difference between a guy being mean to you and burning his whole life to the ground. So this leaves me with one conclusion. If I'm ever forced to go back to school and somehow become valedictorian, I'm blocking every single one of you who watch my videos. I can't trust none of y'all. But speaking of fake emails, we're not done yet. And somehow, next, we are still on fake emails, just with way less police involvement this time. Somehow, it's even more cruel though. The next confession reads,
one time in middle school, I changed my teacher's computer background to a fake Ellen Show congratulations screen. And then I sent her a fake email saying she'd been selected to appear on the show for being an inspirational educator. She started crying, called the principal over, and they both spent like 20 minutes trying to figure out how to reply before I admitted I made the whole thing in Google Slides and a burner email.
Let me get this straight. You made a grown woman believe that Ellen herself had reached out and chosen her to be on the show specifically for being a good teacher? This wasn't like you putting a whoopee cushion on her seat. This is you taking a long, hard look at this poor woman who's probably underpaid because she's a teacher and they're all underpaid, who puts her mental well-being on the line just to educate you and saying, what is the most emotionally devastating lie I could tell this nice lady before lunch? Are we sure this isn't an alt account from the same psychopath that threw sweet innocent Hank under the bus? Or are there just a million different 400 IQ masterminds in my Discord server? Also, why is it always the kindest teachers this happens to? You know for a fact, you did not send this to the mean vice principal with a neck vein, giant calf muscles, and Oakleys. You picked a teacher with feelings. A teacher who probably has little inspirational quote posters in her classroom and says things like,
You students are the reason I do this job.
and you looked at that woman in the eyes and said, yeah, that's the one I want to prank. Now I'm just thinking, at what point did you decide to confess? When she started crying? Or perhaps when two grown adults were standing over a school computer trying to craft a heartfelt reply to Ellen DeGeneres? Enough emotional terrorism. Let's get back to what school is really about. Children in bathrooms holding mysterious objects from the internet. Confession number 4.
One day at lunch, my friend told me she wanted to show me something. So we went to the bathroom with another girl. She pulled out this weird looking thing and said it was a vape. Smoke was coming out of it, so I believed her. Then she told me she got it from some sketchy online store called Sheen.
Okay, I haven't finished reading yet, but if this vape is actually from Sheen, y'all are cooked.
This made the whole thing even worse. We went back to lunch after that, but about 30 minutes later, we all got called to the office to see the principal because someone snitched. After getting shouted out for a while, the principal realized it actually wasn't a vape, but a sinus inhaler. We still got suspended though.
So this girl pulls out a weird smoking device at school and tells you it's a vape, which is already bad. Then somehow, instead of this story getting less dumb, it just gets worse because later you find out it's from Sheen. Sheen! The same place people buy $4 outfits made of tissue paper from and phone cases that look like they were designed by someone with a concussion. Honestly, serves you right. You tried to be cool and hit a vape, but you just ended up with a ridiculously clear nasal passage. And the principal shouting at you for ages before realizing it wasn't even a vape makes this so much better because that means for a solid chunk of time, they thought they were dealing with nicotine criminals. When really, it was just a bunch of kids in the bathroom passing around a glorified inhaler.
Let me try that. Whoa, that's really good. Is this thing supposed to make me smell in 4K? I can smell like all the dookie in here now.
This situation actually reminds me of when I was younger, and I used to think that anything minty was automatically medicine. So one time, I found this super strong little tin of mints in my house. I ate like 6 of them in one go because they were really good, but then I spent the next 10 minutes pacing around convinced I accidentally overdosed. That was the day I found out what Tic Tacs were. Not to brag, but my breath has never smelled better. After that last confession, I need a story where nobody gets suspended, shouted at, or accidentally decongested.
So one day, someone finally encouraged me to text the girl I like and ask if she wanted to get to know me better. I was pretty nervous, but I asked her if she'd be interested in hanging out and maybe getting kung fu tea later that week. She said yes, and we've been dating ever since. We've been together for 7 months now, and I'm really glad I sent that message. The person who encouraged me to ask her out was Vern. We became friends from the comment section in your videos.
Man, this ain't what I want to hear. I don't want to hear about y'all getting in successful relationships from my channel. When is it gonna be my turn? I ain't even gonna talk about this confession anymore. Let's just move on to the next one.
One time in high school, I lied and told a teacher I knew how to play piano so I could get out of normal class and help with rehearsal for the school talent show. The problem was, I do not play piano at all. At first, I thought I was just going to help move chairs or something, but then the music teacher asked me to fill in for one of the acts during practice because their pianist
Was absent. Okay, I'm sorry. I just learned that a pianist is what you call someone who plays piano. Why did they name it that?
I sat down, played the first 2 notes of Runaway by Kanye West, completely panicked, and then pretended the keyboard was broken. They spent like 15 minutes trying to fix it before another teacher turned it off and back on again and asked me to keep trying. I ended up fake coughing and got sent to the nurse.
Okay, see, this is the kind of lie I can get behind. Not because I can play piano, but because this feels like the exact sort of thing I would have said in school to get out of actually doing work. If you lie and say you're good at Photoshop, maybe you can click around and survive for a bit. Like I've seen people who know nothing about Photoshop edit me to make it look like I'm in a maid dress. There is a very high chance someone is eventually gonna put you in front of a piano if you say you can do that. Here's confession number 7.
I had a friend who kept skipping school because he said every day was boring. So as a joke, I texted him and told him he missed the craziest day ever. I said 2 teachers got into a screaming match, someone let a chicken loose near the science block, and a ceiling tile fell onto the vice principal's desk. He believed all of it. So the next day, he actually came back to school for the first time in ages. The problem is, he still thinks that day really happened because every time he brings it up, I just change the subject.
You should be leading a Dungeons and Dragons game with this type of lore building ability. This guy now thinks that he missed your school's World War II. Like to him, Chicken Day was a historical event. He probably separates his life into before and after the vice principal desk incident. And I love that every time he brings it up, you just change the subject. It's like, cool, he's learned his lesson. It's good he's back in school. But at this point, you're just focused on protecting the lie. One day, you're both gonna be 43 years old at some barbecue and he's gonna be like,
Bro, you remember when that chicken got loose at school?
and you're gonna be there flipping a burger like,
Greg, That never happened.
And how long did it take for you to come up with all these plot lines? Like, you should be writing for Netflix in the future. Okay, we need more heat. Let's add a chicken. We need Greg to be invested. What else can we add, guys? My advice, you need to come clean. Eventually, your friend's gonna find out. And after that, he'll probably never show up to anything again. Weddings, funerals, the birth of his first child. But finally, we are leaving the world of school legends and entering something much darker. A bored girl with access to somebody else's love life.
One time, I told my friend that this guy liked her because I was bored and I thought it would be funny. At first, she didn't really believe me, but I kept encouraging her to talk to him, and eventually, she did. Now, they've been together for over a year, and I barely see her anymore because she's always with him. So I basically set my friend up with her boyfriend and accidentally got myself
Replaced. I'm really bored right now. What should I do? Oh, I know. Let me just interfere with somebody else's love life for my own entertainment. You got what was coming with that one, buddy. Because over a year later, now your day one is gone. Like, I know when you first tried setting these people up, you were probably not thinking, yeah, this will definitely lead to a long-term committed relationship and the rapid destruction of my friendship. Nah, you were probably expecting like 3 awkward texts, maybe a failed talking stage, and then everybody moves on. There are probably people watching this who have spent months trying to help their friends get into relationships. They're giving advice, hyping them up, coaching texts, and you did it on accident. So I guess, congratulations. You successfully turned one random joke into a year-long relationship and your own friendship declined. Hey, at least you'll have a fun story for the wedding, if you even get invited. I was gonna say the next confession is lighter, but that feels disrespectful because it involves a funeral. So you might wanna grab a tissue for this heartbreaking tale.
One time in school, I found a dead fly in the windowsill and, for some reason, decided to give it a full funeral during lunch behind the science block. And halfway through the ceremony, a teacher walked past and thought we were doing witchcraft.
I don't know why, but the part I'm most focused on is how you got 3 other people involved. Because with one other person, okay, maybe you're just weird. Now this fly had a community. It's as if this fly impacted people's personal lives. I'm just imagining the full scene. One kid's holding the body, one kid's holding the cross, one kid's probably singing, and one of you is trying to deliver a eulogy through laughter like, we all knew him in very different ways. No, actually, you didn't. You did not know the fly. He was literally on a windowsill 5 minutes ago. I wouldn't even blame y'all if you cried, though. I've cried over much more embarrassing things. You ever seen the movie Boss Baby?
I think I just watched the most emotional, amazing movie ever created, and now I can't stop crying.
It gets me every time. I can't even roast this too hard because this is exactly the kind of dumb, emotional nonsense kids do at school when they have too much time and not enough adult supervision. It's funny how kids do the most random things like this all because they don't know what to do with their free time. Like, if I was still a kid, I would have loved to do this. This sounds fun. But now, unfortunately, I'm older and I have to take care of things like my butt hair and taxes. To the Flies family, my condolences. Rest in peace, little bro.
Rest in peace, my granny, she got hit by.
We've done funerals. Now, let's get back to a topic that summed up most of my time in school.
So once, during a presentation one time, I farted. But I quickly realized it wasn't just a fart. It was much, much more.
Is that it? Is that the whole confession? I'm not gonna lie. This reminded me of this weird German exchange kid my school had for like 2 weeks. I swear, this dude looked like 34 years old. He had perfect posture and he carried himself like he'd already been through 2 divorces. I never saw that man smile once. He just walked around with this 1,000-yard stare like he'd seen things. And one day, he was doing some little presentation at the front of class, but he stopped mid-sentence, went completely still, started shaking his head like he was just being told something in his ear, and then he just said, I must leave now. I never saw that man again. To this day, I don't know if he just pooped his pants during his presentation, but in my heart, I think that's what happened. That's what your confession has done to me. I'm curious though, did you just continue the presentation like nothing happened? Or did you run away in shame because brown stains were probably starting to go down your leg? Because personally, if that happened to me, the presentation is over. I'm exchanging one final look with the teacher. I'll give her a nod like, I have to do this. And I'm leaving the classroom and never coming back like the German kid did. Honestly, I respect that now. I know why he did what he did. Let's leave the extreme farting there for now because the next confession has a plan, a clipboard, a sweet tooth, and way too much confidence.
One time in middle school, me and my friend figured out that if we walked into the cafeteria wearing lanyards and holding clipboards, nobody would question us. So for like 2 weeks, we kept sneaking in 20 minutes before lunch started and eating all the fresh cookies before anyone else got there. Eventually, a lunch lady asked who we were, and I panicked and said we were there doing a temperature check. She just stared at us and said, a temperature check on the cookies? We got banned from the cafeteria for 3 days.
What do you mean you got banned from the cafeteria for 3 days? Were you just not allowed to eat lunch anymore? But I love that this whole master plan was not to steal test answers, not to break into the office, not to pull some huge prank. You used your criminal talents for fresh cookies. And absolutely nobody believes you just casually strolled into the cafeteria like 2 normal employees. I'm just picturing in my head what this looked looked like, and I imagine 2 middle schoolers with lanyards on that look nothing like employees. You've got fake mustaches drawn on you, and you're standing there trying to look like grown men when you have a Minecraft backpack on you. I do love this idea though, because I don't know why, school cookies were always the best. Any other food? Awful. Don't eat it. But the cookies? They put all their efforts into making those. The crazy thing is this plan worked for a little bit. Like, you guys should take these talents elsewhere. I could just imagine the Eiffel Tower going missing one day, and when they release the CCTV footage, and it's just these two people with a painted on French mustache and a suspiciously Eiffel Tower shaped backpack. To be honest, I still can't understand why you guys got banned from the cafeteria. Like, was your punishment just getting starved? You were already sniffing fresh cookies in elaborate disguises when you had access to food, so taking it away is not gonna make your sick compulsions go away too. So we've got cookie fraud. You guys love committing crimes for some reason. So of course, the next one is also a crime. We're talking full-on smuggling, and this story happens in the outside world. The place where none of us go. The one place you want to be when you're actually in school. It's like when a prisoner gets their time outside. But here's the confession.
One time in school, me and my friend found out the side door by the gym didn't latch properly. So for like a month, we kept leaving during lunch, walking to the corner store and coming back with slushies like we were Navy SEALs returning from a mission. We only got caught because one day, my friend came back carrying a full family-sized bag of Doritos and tried to hide it under his blazer like he was smuggling diamonds.
A whole month? So this wasn't even sneaking out anymore. This was just your new lifestyle. And the fact that you were wearing blazers tells me you're definitely at a private school, which means you guys were splashing the cash. Like, y'all were probably rich. I just know there was a tear of joy in the eye of the worker every time you walked into that store. Just the two of you waddling back into school, getting ready for your daily mukbang. And no one was ever suspicious of it. There wasn't a teacher that would be like, why is their rib cage 5 times bigger today? What could they possibly be hiding under their blazer? They just didn't pay attention to that, or what? If your friend didn't get so greedy, you could have kept this going all year. It started with, hey, let's just grab a drink. Then 2 weeks later, one of you is trying to sneak back in with 12 tacos, a melted Snickers, and a look in your eye that you no longer fear authority or type 2 diabetes. There's no mention of sharing either. Like, where did you even eat this stuff? Sneaking off to a little quiet corner with your bellies rumbling because you haven't had 2,000 calories of straight junk food in the last 60 seconds? Dang, now I'm getting kind of hungry. We'll do one final confession. Now, this one is not evil, it's not dangerous, it's just painfully awkward. Here it is.
One time in school, I used the disabled bathroom because the normal one was disgusting and I wanted it for myself. The problem is, right as I came out, my crush was walking past. So for some reason, instead of just acting normal, I panicked and immediately started apologizing to her like I just committed a war crime. She looked so confused and I just kept saying sorry until I walked away.
At least you didn't pretend to be disabled, because that is where I thought this was going for a second. And I was about to have to stop the video right there and just sit in silence. Now, obviously, yes, if there's actually a disabled person waiting, don't use their bathroom. That's just insane. But also, I'm not gonna sit here and act like the disabled bathroom isn't magical. It just is. There's so much space, so much freedom, so much peace. You walk in there and suddenly you're not even using the bathroom anymore. You're having a spiritual experience. This is the kind of bathroom where you could sit down on the toilet and scroll for a while. You're not trying to get in and get out as quickly as possible. You could sit in there and think about your future, your career, marriage, anything. The regular school bathroom feels like a prison. It's awful in every single way. But what I do not get about this story is why, when the second your crush walked by, you started apologizing. Because now instead of just seeing you leave a bathroom, she's watching you emerge from it like a nervous Victorian child going, sorry, I'm so sorry. And for what? Now she just has to assume the absolute worst about you. Also, a little public service announcement. If you are ever in one of these bathrooms, do not pull the emergency assistance cord thinking it's the light. Because now you're not just having a private moment in the luxury suite. Now, instead, you have to explain that, no, you're actually completely fine. You just got too relaxed in the penthouse and started pressing things. But hey, who doesn't like a little bit of extra attention? And am I saying this because I accidentally pulled that cord one time? I am. But what I've learned from all these confessions and the many more you guys sent in that were somehow even worse is that you're psychopaths. You are scary. And honestly, I think that's why we work so well together, because we're like the same person. Virtually though. Please stay far away from me in real life. During school, we faced a lot of challenges, whether that be going into the bathroom and seeing a full concert happening, or being put in a school project with someone that you know isn't gonna do any work, or even having to navigate through the couples making out with each other in the hallways. It doesn't matter if you went to school in the hood, if you went to private school, or even Hogwarts, we've all experienced the things I'm about to talk about. Starting off with school fights. School fights are the only event that can make the entire student body teleport to one location in under 30 seconds. I don't care if you're in the bathroom, in the library, if you didn't even show up to school that day because you were sick. The second someone yells, "There's a fight happening," everyone pulls up. But it always starts with the rumor. Someone goes, "Yo, I heard Marcus and Jaden are fighting behind the gym after school." And suddenly, that information spreads faster than you can say the word Diddy. Within 10 minutes, the entire school knows. Kids are texting each other the location like it's a secret concert. The crowd starts forming like a nature documentary. One kid sees the fight starting, pulls out their phone, and suddenly 200 other people appear out of thin air. Where were they? How did they get here so fast? Nobody knows. But here's the thing about school fights. 90% of them are just two people aggressively hugging each other. That's it. Everyone's screaming like this is a UFC pay-per-view event, but really, it's just two dudes grabbing each other's shirts and shuffling in a circle going, "Bro, let go! You let go first!" Nobody's actually throwing hands. Nobody's doing anything. They're always just holding each other aggressively. Very rarely does someone actually land a clean punch. But when that does happen, the crowd absolutely loses it. People are screaming. But the best part is how the story will get retold afterwards. Because by lunch the next day, the fight has already been completely exaggerated beyond recognition. Bro, I heard Marcus picked Jaden up and slammed him through a desk. Really? Because I heard Jaden did a 360 kick into Marcus's forehead. I heard Marcus lost his pinky toe. Some people are saying Jaden's legally blind after that fight. In reality, the actual fight lasted 8 seconds, nobody fell down, and the most dramatic thing that happened was someone's shirt got stretched out. But facts don't matter when you're retelling a legendary story. No. And you may be thinking, how can people lie about these fights when literally everyone was recording them? Well, somehow, even though 100 people are filming it, not a single person is ever able to get a good video. It's like everyone recording it was looking like this person from behind the camera. But the one thing you do not want to happen is getting pulled into the fight yourself. Because I remember one time, a fight was scheduled to happen at my school, and I was front row to see it. I barely even knew the two kids who were fighting, but because all the students wanted to see a good show, someone yelled out loud, "Hey, I heard Tyler has a crush on your girl," to one of the guys fighting. Oh, whoever Tyler is, he's cooked. Wait, I'm Tyler. So now the dude fighting comes up to me and wants to fight me. But I didn't want the smoke. I'm never gonna be the one to fight. I promise you will never catch me in one of those YouTuber boxing events, unless it's against young Sheldon. So without saying anything, I just picked my backpack up, turned around, and left. I didn't care what names they called me. I was getting out of there. Then you got the teacher's intervention. That one teacher who always tries to break up the fight. This will go one of two ways. Either the teacher is successful and separates the kids from each other, or they step in at the wrong moment and catch a right hook to the face. But the second the teacher shows up, the crowd scatters like roaches when you turn the lights on. Everyone acts like they weren't just recording the fight 10 seconds ago. Fight? What fight? I was in the school bathroom. Speaking of that, school bathrooms are a different dimension, where the normal rules of society just don't apply, and literally anything can happen. I'm convinced there's a portal in there to an alternate universe, because the things I've witnessed inside school bathrooms have changed me as a person, all for the worse. But before you can even go into the bathroom, you gotta get some freaky hall pass from your teacher. So you raise your hand and go, "Can I use the restroom?" And the teacher looks at you like you just asked for their kidney. "You sure you can't wait till after class? Do you want to find out?" So she finally lets you go. But before you step out of that classroom, she says, "Wait, take this." And she basically hands you a custom pickaxe from Fortnite. Ah, perfect. This is gonna be so easy to carry while I'm trying to pee. Thanks, teacher. So you finally get the pass, but then you open the bathroom door and it's just, I don't even know what the right word is. It can be literally anything in there at all times. Like one time I walked in and it felt like I just stepped into Snoop Dogg's tour bus because it was filled with smoke and I could barely see. Kids were vaping in there like it was a competitive sport, and it smelled like how I imagined the Powerpuff Girls house would, with a hint of strawberries and mango. But the vaping isn't even the craziest part. The craziest part is the unspoken rules that everyone follows. Like the fact that if there's 5 urinals, only 3 of them are really available. If you try using those other 2, you are a sick, sick individual. And there's nothing more scary than the gap underneath the stall door, because it just makes you paranoid that someone's gonna look under, or even worse, look through the crack down the middle, all while you're taking a dookie. One of the most tragic parts of school bathrooms is how often your teacher won't let you use it. Some schools are out here treating bathroom passes like limited. Like I had a class where we only got 3 bathroom passes per semester. Okay, that's cool. So what happens when I run out then? What's the plan there? You want me to just hold my pee for the next 4 months? Hey, Mrs. Smith, can I go to the bathroom?
No, you already used all your bathroom passes this semester. You have to wait.
Mrs. Smith, I mean no offense when I say this, but I will literally pee on the ground right now if you don't let me go. Like if you take more than 30 seconds in there, the teacher will literally ask,
"What took so long in there?"
Maybe it's the fact that I had chili last night and I just had to leave an atomic bomb in the toilet. You think I took forever because I was walking around the rest of school, when in in reality, I was fighting for my life in there. But that's the most terrifying part of the school restrooms, when you actually have to use it for its intended purposes. That's right. I'm talking about using the bathroom to go number 2. There is nothing that can prepare you for this moment. You ate something that gave you the runs last night, so even though you really didn't want to, you're forced to go poop in the school bathroom. Once the coast is clear, you run into one of the stalls, preferably the handicap one because there's more space, and try to be as quiet as possible. And then the inevitable happens. Someone walks in and you put your feet up so they don't get a chance to see your shoes from underneath the stall. And you're trying to finish as quickly as possible because no one should ever have to suffer from pooing in a school bathroom. But it takes forever because the toilet paper in there is more thin than Vecna in the last season of Stranger Things. It's truly a traumatic experience. But I don't know what's more traumatic, school bathrooms or group projects. Group projects might be the most stressful part of school. I'm convinced teachers assign these just to watch us suffer. The second a teacher announces a group project, you can feel the stress levels in the room spike. Everyone's doing mental calculations. Who do I work with? Who's actually gonna do work if we're in a group together? Who's gonna ruin my GPA? It's like the Hunger Games, except instead of fighting to the death, we're fighting for a decent grade. There are 2 ways group projects can happen, and both of them are terrible. Scenario 1, the teacher lets you pick your groups. This is terrible because it just turns into a social hierarchy nightmare. The popular kids immediately form a super group while everyone else is scrambling. And if you don't have friends in that class, you're cooked, buddy. You're standing there like a kid who didn't get picked in dodgeball, except this affects your future. Scenario 2, the teacher assigns your group. When this happens, you just gotta pray. There's no other option because you absolutely know that you're gonna get paired with the kid who hasn't turned in an assignment since World War I. The same kid who thinks the mitochondria is a type of pasta. The same kid who's probably not even aware this class exists. And that's exactly what happened to me. So I got assigned to work with this kid who never, and I mean never, came to school. Like, I'm pretty sure he was a myth, an urban legend. Some people in the class didn't even know he existed. I've heard rumors about him, but I never actually saw him. He was like Bigfoot, except instead of being in the woods, he was just not in class. And when I saw his name on my group, I immediately knew I was cooked. No chance this dude was contributing at all. 0% probability. First day of the project, I show up, ready to divide the work. He's not there. Day 2, still not there. Day 3, nowhere to be found. A full week goes by, and he's radio silent. We had 25 days to complete this project, and he was not there for a single one. Honestly, like, that takes commitment. So I accept my fate. I'm doing this entire project solo. I'm staying up till 2 a.m. on some nights just working on it. I've made peace with it. I'm prepared to present this entire project by myself. I've practiced my lines. I've practiced his lines. I'm ready. But presentation day arrives. I walk into class, mentally prepared to solo this entire thing, and guess who walks in that door? For the first time in I don't know how long, my group project partner shows up to class. This man walks into class on presentation day, the only day he's been here pretty much all semester, and I realize we have a serious problem. We've never discussed anything about the project. He doesn't know what the topic is. He doesn't know what's on the slides. He probably doesn't even know what class this is. Why did he have to show up on this one day? And it's not like I can just present the whole thing while he's standing right there next to me. No, the teacher knows that it has to be a collaborative effort. So eventually we get called up to present, and I'm sweating. He's standing next to me, looking at the slides for literally the first time in his life, and he says,
Yo, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Oh, yeah, nice to meet you too. It's not nice to meet you! You just ruined our whole project! Anyways, I start presenting and it's going fine. I'm delivering my parts, the class is paying attention, the teacher is nodding, and I'm just thinking, okay, you know what? I am just gonna say the whole thing, and he can just stand there next to me, nodding like he doesn't know how to speak. Maybe we can just convince the teacher that he had a sore throat and couldn't say anything. But then, after reading about 50% of the presentation, once we go on to the next slide, right as I'm about to speak, he goes,
I got this one.
and he turns around facing directly towards the presentation, trying to figure out what to say. And he just goes,
So, as you can see from the graph,
he pauses, actually reads the slide for a second,
and then goes, so the numbers on the graph, they go up, and sometimes they go down. Yeah.
I'm crying inside. I'm standing next to him having an out-of-body experience. And he just keeps going.
And as we can see, this connects to the thing we were talking about earlier.
What thing? We did not talk about anything earlier, lil bro. You weren't even here. The class is confused. The teacher is confused. I'm confused. He's just making stuff up at this point. Full improvisation. Finally, he finishes the slide, and I make sure that I read the rest of them from that point on. We then finish and go back to our seats. Of course, I'm traumatized. I need therapy, and the teacher asks,
Did you guys evenly contribute the work on this project?
we both look at each other. I'm thinking about the 40 hours I put into this thing, the all-nighters, the research, and I go, yeah. Because what else am I gonna say? I'm not snitching, but also I'm not happy. But we get our grade back a week later, A-. We both got an A-. This man did absolutely nothing, showed up for 8 minutes, said the numbers go up and down, and got an A-. I'm pretty sure I did the biggest carry job since LeBron in the finals in 2018. But that's group projects for you. The teacher hits you with the classic line.
We do group projects because they prepare you for the real world.
Mrs. Smith, know that. On to the next school experience we've all gone through. And this one needs to be illegal. So I'll let you guys guess what this next experience is. Is it A, being accused of having a crush on someone you do not like? B, getting fed slop from the school cafeteria? Or C, walking into class and forgetting you had a test that day? You guessed it. The answer is none of the above. Because the real answer is school couples. Now I know what you're all thinking. Tyler, you're just saying this because you're jealous you were never in a relationship during school. And while you are correct, and I do want to cry because of that, I'm not saying all school couples are bad. I'm talking about the ones who operate under the belief that everyone else is just a background character in their romantic movie. Because picture this, you're walking to class, trying to get to your locker, but oh no, you can't because someone's in front of it. A guy and a girl just making out with each other right in front of where you have to go. They've been there for 6 minutes, haven't paused a second to even take a breath of fresh air, and you need to get your textbook. You're gonna be late, but you can't interrupt them, so you just wait. You just stand there looking like an NPC right in front of people who are making out. Nah, but seriously, school couples are a different breed. Like, I used to be at lunch in school just trying to eat my food in peace, and the couple that would always sit at the spot right behind me was giving me the ick. And I don't even know what that word really means, to be honest. I just hear everyone else say it. First of all, they'd always sit on each other's lap, which doesn't sound too weird until you realize the dude was the one sitting on her lap. They're feeding each other their food, talking in baby voices, calling each other names like Boo Bear and Pookie, and a bunch of other names that should be illegal. So you would think, dang, these two are really comfortable with each other. How long have they been dating? Like 3 years or so? No, try 9 days. And they're already posting my forever and always on Instagram. And then the inevitable happens. After about 3 weeks of dating, they break up. So to all the school couples out there, please just do all that freaky stuff at home, not in front of my locker. This next unavoidable school experience is one I really hope is relatable, because if I'm the only one that's been through it, that's gonna be super embarrassing. But all of us, and I mean all of us, have gone into class before when we're tired, brain's not fully working, and you're just sitting there, but you have to go to the bathroom. So you raise your hand, the teacher says, yes, Tyler, and then it happens. You say, hey mom, can Mrs. Smith, time stops. Your life flashes before your eyes. Everything you've ever done, every mistake you've ever made has led to this moment. You've made a critical, irreversible error. The class reaction is instant.
Yo, he called the teacher mom!
Everyone in class is laughing at you, even though it ain't really that funny. Even the quiet kid in the back, who never makes a sound, is losing it. Yeah, I'm talking to you, Harold. Don't think I don't remember that day. You've united the entire class in your humiliation. Crips and Bloods could be in this room, and they'd put aside their differences just to laugh at you. Your face goes from a normal color to looking like a tomato in 0.3 seconds. You can feel the heat radiating from your cheeks. And then the teacher responds. Some teachers can be cool about it and just be like, oh, Tyler, it's okay. It was a mistake. But other teachers get weird about it. They pause. They look at you with this expression you can't quite read. I'm not your mom. Oh, really? Thank you for the clarification. I was wondering why you were a ginger and I came out with brown hair. Really helpful. Definitely didn't make this worse. So you try to recover and go, can I go to the bathroom, Mrs. Teacher? But it's too late. Everyone already heard it. The damage is done. You could cure cancer by the end of that day, and you would still be known as the kid who called the teacher mom. So if you ever accidentally do this, my advice to you is drop out, move to a foreign country, learn the language, cut off all contact with your family, and live a simple lifestyle on a farm. You got no other option. But you know what's even worse than calling your teacher mom? Seeing your teacher outside of school. Finding your teacher outside of school is like seeing a zoo animal in the wild. It just feels fundamentally wrong, like a glitch in the Matrix. You're at Walmart shopping with your mom, and then you see them. Your history teacher, Mr. Jacobs, standing in the cereal aisle. But something's different, because this time he's wearing shorts. Teachers are allowed to wear normal clothes? Your brain can't process it. Like, teachers actually exist outside of school? They buy groceries and have lives? They're not just NPCs who spawn in the classroom at 8 a.m. and despawn at 3 p.m.? This is deeply upsetting information. Now, you only have 1 second to make a decision when this happens. Do you say hi to your teacher, or do you hide? Or do you pretend to not see them at all? All 3 options are terrible. There's no good outcome here. You're in a lose-lose-lose situation. If you acknowledge them, you have to do awkward small talk. Oh, hey, Mr. Johnson, crazy to see you here. And then your mom and the teacher are forced to interact, and you're holding your breath, hoping that he doesn't mention the time where you were 1 decimal away from failing the class. I've seen my teacher in public a couple times, and the most funny experience I have of this happening is when I saw my teacher at the gym, my science teacher, who was usually a really strict dude. The type of teacher who'd give you detention for breathing too loud. I couldn't imagine this guy having any other hobbies besides grading papers and hating teenagers. But I'm at the gym trying to work out and I see him walk in. So I'm thinking, do not make eye contact, do not make eye contact, do not make eye contact. I'm strategically positioning myself on the opposite side of the gym as him, trying to stay super far away. But at the same time, I'm kind of curious because I want to see what it looks like when he works out. I just didn't expect him to. He wasn't in bad shape or anything, but like I said, I literally could not imagine this guy outside of school. So I'm like, oh, what is he gonna do? Some squats, maybe a bench press? But I couldn't have been any more shocked than what I saw that day. Because instead of picking up any weights, I see him walk into one of those group dance fitness classes. You know the ones, loud music, choreographed moves, lots of middle-aged women trying to keep their hips usable. And I'm just thinking, there's no way. He's probably just passing through. Maybe he's looking for someone. But surely, he's not actually participating in this class, right? There's no way this man enjoys dancing or anything that has to do with fun. So obviously, I have to investigate. So I go inside the dance room to grab a mat to stretch on, and there he is, fully committed to the routine, doing the hip thrusts, the arm waves, everything. Our science teacher actually has hobbies. Neither of us would ever mention it. Seeing your teacher outside of school is like finding out your parents had lives before you were born. You just can't imagine it. Okay, Tyler, surely you've already gone over all the universal school experiences. There can't be any more, right? Wrong. Because one year, my family went on vacation and I missed the entire first week of school. Great planning, by the way, Mom and Dad. But anyways, when I came back, school had already been in session for a full week. But this was my first day. So I get my schedule. I know where I'm supposed to be, or at least I think I do. And I walk into what I'm pretty sure is my art class. Of course, I'm the last one to arrive because I was trying to figure out the room numbers while everyone else already knew them. And there's only one empty seat in the room. So obviously, that empty seat must be mine. That's just easy logic. I sit down, pull out my notebook, ready to learn about, I don't know, the colors of the rainbow or something. And the teacher starts talking. I'm listening like a good student, but something feels off. I can't quite put my finger on it, but something isn't right. We're about 30 minutes into class, and instead of talking about art stuff, the teacher is going deep into Abraham Lincoln's assassination. Like, really deep into it. Details about John Wilkes Booth, the layout of Ford's Theater, and I'm sitting here thinking, okay, this is weird, but maybe this is just one of those teachers that gets sidetracked yapping, and you never end up actually doing any work. Or maybe we're gonna be painting Abraham Lincoln's beard or something. But then she passes out an assignment, and I realize, hold on, this is a history worksheet. So now I'm like, am I in the wrong class? But I can't be, because no one said anything when I sat down in this seat, and the teacher made eye contact with me and smiled when she handed out the worksheet. So I tap the kid sitting next to me and go, hey, is this art class? He looks at me like I've lost my mind. Nah, bro, this is history. I have no idea what's going on. I'm thinking I just got put on the newest episode of Impractical Jokers. So I raise my hand. The teacher calls on me and I go, am I in the right class? The entire class turns to look at me all at the same time. 30 pairs of eyes. And the teacher goes,
Steven, what kind of question is that?
So I say, my name is Tyler, not Steven. And this is where she looks a little closer at me and then says,
Oh, yeah, you're not Steven. You just kind of look like him.
then she opens her roll call and goes,
No, there's no Tyler on my list. You're not in any of my classes.
and I don't think you guys realize how horribly awkward it was to leave the class when you figured out you're in the wrong one. People are staring at you harder than your dog when you got a piece of food in your hand. I check my schedule and find the actual art class I'm supposed to be in. And you know where I made my mistake? My class was in room 103. I accidentally went to room 183 because for whatever reason, some people write the letter 0 with a slash going across it. Why do we do that? Anyways, whatever, who cares? Anyways, do you know what I did next? I dropped out, moved to a foreign country, learned the language, cut off all contact with my family, and lived a simple lifestyle on a farm. I had no other option. Now I need to tell you one relatable school experience that can be quite terrifying. But before I say what it is, I have to ask, did you guys know teachers have a superpower that nobody talks about? That's right. They can sense the exact moment you're not paying attention. You could be locked in for 45 minutes straight, taking notes, nodding along, being the perfect student. But the second you zone out for 3 seconds to think about what soap LeBron uses in the shower, the teacher strikes. They call on you. And they only do this when they know you're not paying attention. It's like they've got a sense for it. They're just professional rage baiters. So you try the classic stalling move. Can you repeat the question? You're buying time, desperately looking around for context clues like you're a detective trying to solve a murder. Checking the board, glancing at other people's notebooks, hoping someone looks at you and mouths the answer. So the teacher repeats the question, as if that was gonna help, and you just go for the vague response that sounds intelligent but means absolutely nothing. I think there is no right or wrong answer because at the end of the day, everything is subjective. And then the teacher responds with,
No, Tyler. The correct answer was 5.
Very rarely will you get a time where you accidentally guess the right answer. Completely on accident. And the teacher's furious because they know you just got lucky, but there's nothing they could do about it. So if you ever get called on and you have no idea what the answer is, all you gotta do is walk out of the class, drop out, move to a foreign country, learn the language, cut off all contact with your family, and live a simple lifestyle on a farm because you have no other option. Let me know what other relatable school experiences I forgot in the comments down below. But for now, it's time to get back to the farm. If I told you there was a place where grown adults spend their whole day obsessing over teenagers' shoulders, knees, and feet, you'd probably think I was describing some weird cult or Diddy's house. But nope, I'm talking about school. Because apparently, even with all the problems that exist at school, bathrooms that look like they haven't been cleaned since the Cold War, kids smoking Smarties, the thing schools have decided to focus on is making sure that no one can see your shoulders. School dress codes are genuinely insane, and today, I'm breaking down the most ridiculous ones, and how funny the difference between dress codes for girls is versus boys. Let's start out with what might be the freakiest dress code of all time, the war on shoulders. I genuinely need to know who looked at a human shoulder one day and thought to themselves, yeah, if we let a girl walk into school showing these off, no boys are gonna be able to focus. Because schools will literally pull students out of class mid-lesson, all because they're wearing a tank top. And the excuse is always the same. It's distracting to the other students. Distracting who? Who is sitting in algebra getting distracted by shoulders? Has anyone in the history of school ever been like, you know, I was trying to do the quadratic formula, but then I saw Sarah's shoulders and now I can't focus? No. That has never happened. Not once in human history, except to my homie Greg, because he has a weird shoulder fetish. But leave him out of this. Here's where it gets even more ridiculous though. Some schools have dress code violation shirts that they make you wear if you break the rules. And the funny thing about it is, I remember being in middle school one time, and it was like 95 degrees outside. The AC barely worked inside our schools. And by barely worked, I mean, we didn't have AC. So the classrooms felt like saunas. Everyone is sweating. And on one of these brutally hot days, a girl in my class wore a tank top. Makes sense, right? The classrooms are super hot. She's not trying to have a heat stroke while learning about the Revolutionary War. Seems like a reasonable decision for a human being that's trying to survive. But nope. She gets told by her teacher that her shirt violates our school dress code, and she needs to go to the office to get a new shirt that's appropriate. So she embarrassingly does the walk of shame out of class and goes to the office. And a couple minutes later, she comes back with this giant, oversized t-shirt that says dress code violation on it. But here's the best part. The shirt they gave her was so big and baggy that it kept falling off her shoulder. So she got dress coded for showing her shoulders, and the punishment was putting on a shirt that showed even more of her shoulders. The shirt they give you is literally meant to shame you. They're out here making kids wear the educational equivalent of a dunce cap, all because they're showing their shoulders. And the part that sucks about this is everyone knows that school isn't about learning or anything like that. No, the main purpose of school is to show off your best outfits. So when you gotta go from being dripped out in your Prada t-shirt to wearing an XXXXL gym shirt, that's devastating. So if you don't want to get dress coded for showing your shoulders, well, wear something to just cover it up, right? Well, no, because here comes the second most ridiculous dress code rule of all time, which is the hoodie. For some reason, schools are absolutely terrified of hoodies, like genuinely scared. Schools act like you putting your hood up is the equivalent of pulling out the ray gun from Call of Duty. I remember one time, a kid in my class literally got detention for just putting his hood up. The same punishment you'd get for skipping class or cheating on a test. And why is this dress code a rule in the first place? Security reasons, because they need to see your face, right? But what does that even mean? Do you think someone is gonna try impersonating another person by putting a hoodie on? I promise you that if a school intruder sneaks onto my campus, putting a hoodie on over their head is not gonna be a good enough disguise. Unless all the people working at the school just have the IQ of Dr. Doofenshmirtz.
What are you? A platypus? Parry the platypus!
And they can't recognize someone unless they're wearing their signature outfit. Banning hoodies in school was genuinely my least favorite dress code though, because when I was growing up, my mom would cut my hair. And mom, if you're watching this, I love you. But there would be some days where she'd give me a haircut and my hairline was the same angle as an airplane taking off. I'd have to tilt my head like this just for it to be straight. So I came to school so many times with my hair looking absolutely cooked. I couldn't walk into school showing it off. So what was the only solution? Put a hoodie on. But the teachers would always get mad when I did this and tell me to take it off. So from that point on, whenever I got a bad haircut, I would just fake a sickness and not go to school. But here's the funny part. It got so bad at my school that they literally banned hoodies, yet they sold hoodies inside the gymnasium with the school logo on them. So they were literally selling hoodies and telling you that you can't wear them at school. You could only wear long sleeves that didn't have a hood on them. We talked about how my school had no AC, but it also had no heating. And they would enforce this rule even when it was freezing inside. It's 40 degrees in class, everyone's shivering, and yet teachers are still stealing class, pulling hoods off everyone like they're playing Duck Duck Goose, trying to reveal who has the worst haircut. Now this next dress code is one that I actually don't mind because I think they're incredibly ugly, but still, it makes no sense for them to be banned. What am I talking about? Ripped jeans. Now don't get me wrong, I think ripped jeans, along with jorts, might be the worst clothing invention ever created. And while I do think they should be banned from anyone in society at all being able to wear them, I don't understand why schools ban them. Because at least at my school, they had these hyper-specific rules about ripped jeans. It was like, the holes in your jeans can't be longer than 2 inches in diameter, or it couldn't be ripped above the knee, which, if I'm being honest, I don't even know how you measure diameter, so I wasn't gonna listen to this. But who even decided this? Is there a ripped jean council out there that's making these decisions? All right, team, we've done the research. 1 inch in diameter of ripped jeans? Perfect. 1.5 inch in diameter of ripped jeans? Okay. 2 inches? You're pushing it. 2.5 inches? Send them to Alcatraz. And the way they'd enforce this rule was even more ridiculous. Teachers at my school would literally crouch down in the hallway and measure your jeans. They look like detectives investigating a murder scene. They get on their hands and knees, pull out a ruler, and measure the size of the hole in your jeans. Like, bro, you're a 45-year-old man measuring a teenager's pants in the middle of the hallway. Does this not seem a little weird to you? If you did this in any other setting, you'd be getting a restraining order. Maybe if the teachers focused more on teaching me in class and not examining everyone's jeans, I would have turned out to be a doctor and not someone who makes 6'7" and oil up jokes on the internet. Okay, no, I still definitely would have done that, but maybe someone else would have been a doctor. Well, guess what, Tyler? I have the solution. If school dress codes are so bad, why don't we just make everyone wear the same thing? Why don't we just have school uniforms? That's a great idea in theory, but somehow school uniforms are even worse. Because uniforms are supposed to be the great equalizer, right? Everyone's wearing the same thing, so you couldn't possibly have something on that violates the dress code. It's fair, except that's not true. Because even with school uniforms, kids will still find a way to customize it. They'll wear expensive shoes, designer belts, crazy backpacks, and if you have school uniforms, you're probably going to a private school, which means your parents are probably loaded, so I know you guys are dripped out. Making people wear school uniforms is like putting a band-aid over a broken leg and calling it fixed. I had a friend who went to private school where they had to wear school uniforms, and he would literally sag his pants. How did he sag in dress pants? The world may never know, but he did it. Point is, no matter what you do, you can't stop people from getting their drip on. The hilarious part about all these dress codes is how teachers will try to enforce them. Like, I don't know if this was just my school or if everyone had it, but we had something called the fingertip rule. For those who don't know, the fingertip rule is when you have to stand up straight, put your arms at your side, and your shorts or your skirt had to be longer than how far your fingertips go. Sounds reasonable, right? Wrong, because I know a lot of you probably think that I'm just a floating head who doesn't actually have a body, but to your surprise, I actually do have limbs. And for some reason, I have really long arms and not that long of a torso. I'm built like Peter Griffin in that one Family Guy episode where he for some reason becomes a woman. So if I put my hands down to my side, they almost go all the way to my knees, which means for me, I literally couldn't wear anything that was above my knees. And this was a problem because I like wearing shorter shorts. Now I'm not talking Drewski length short shorts, but a couple inches above the knee. But unfortunately, my Slenderman arms made it so that I could only wear long shorts to school every day. It was tragic. Who knows how many missed relationships I had in high school just because the girls didn't like my outfits. That's definitely not the reason I didn't have a girlfriend in high school. But anyway, point is, this rule makes no sense at all. Like, I knew one kid who was born without a left arm. So does that mean he could have pulled up to school every day without wearing any shorts on his left leg and not been dress coded? The funny thing is that I'm pretty sure this rule was made specifically for girls, but instead they had to enforce it on me because I like showing off those pasty legs. And speaking of dress codes that were made specifically for girls, we need to talk about the most obvious one that no one mentions. Dress codes for boys versus dress codes for girls. Because let me paint you a picture of what the dress code enforcement actually looks like inside schools. I remember one time in school, it was disgustingly hot. And like I said, our AC was trash. And this girl in my class wore a shirt that looked just like this. Teacher saw that, shook her head right away and went, absolutely not. You know the rule. Go to the office and get a shirt that doesn't violate the dress code. And I'm thinking, yeah, this rule is stupid, but come on, you know the rules by now. You probably shouldn't have worn that shirt knowing that. Until I turn my head 90 degrees and see a guy from the football team. What is he wearing? A tank top with a hole so big that you could see his full stomach through. Rib cage and everything. Looks like it hasn't been washed in 6 weeks. Has a mystery stain on it, which I don't want to know what that was. His tank top revealed more than a girl's Halloween costume. Yet the teacher didn't say anything. Matter of fact, the teacher literally went up to him and started asking him questions about the football game that week. I saw him wear that shirt about once a week to school without ever having a problem. Yet the girl had to go to the office and spend the rest of the day with pit stains from wearing a shirt that was made for Shaquille O'Neal. It's like schools have two completely different rule books. One for girls that's 38 pages long with subsections and a bunch of bullet points and footnotes and diagrams. And then there's the one for boys, and this one just says, hey, you do you, twin. Here's a list of things girls get dress coded for. Showing your shoulders. Shorts are too short. Wearing leggings. Shirts too tight. Shirts too loose. Ripped jeans with a hole the size of a quarter. Wearing the color neon yellow. I'll explain that one later. And here's a list of things boys get dress coded for. Showing up naked. That's it. That's the end of the list. And I know what you guys are thinking. Tyler, you're just catering towards the girls because you want them to like you. And you know what I say to that? How dare you accuse me of that? Because I, a 6'5" feminist who loves Taylor Swift, matcha, and whatever else girls like, Pilates, but I would never cater towards the girls. Now, I've made a list of some ridiculous dress codes that you guys told me exist at your school. So let's rapid fire through the most random ones. No pajama pants, because apparently it's a crime to be comfortable while you're failing algebra. No bandanas. When I asked this person why bandanas weren't allowed at their school, they said it's because the school thinks it's gang related. What kind of school are you going to that has gang members in it? Degrassi High School? I've never actually watched that show, but I'm guessing it's a dangerous school since Drake got shot in it. Just so everybody knows, guys, if you wear a bandana, you are in a gang. It's not your choice. That's just how it works. Next rule, no sunglasses. Even when the sun is literally blinding you. Why? I don't know, maybe because they think students are hiding something behind their eyes. My one question with this rule is, does it also apply to blind students? This next one is crazy. No graphic tees. Some schools ban all graphic tees, even if they're completely appropriate. You could be wearing a t-shirt that says, I love puppies, and it would still get dress coded. I would have just had to drop out if this was at my school because that would have meant I couldn't wear my I love LeBron shirt to school every day. Next one, no distracting colors. I'm not even joking. Apparently some schools ban wearing neon shirts because they're too distracting. Honestly though, I agree with this one because whenever I was in school, I could not focus if I saw someone wearing a neon shirt. But then I graduated kindergarten. So after all this, you might be wondering, why do dress codes even exist? What's the point? Well, after doing my research, experiments, and testing, I have found out the true reason why dress codes exist. And did I just put glasses on to look smart while I was saying I did research? Who cares? Mind your business. But here's the real reason dress codes exist. It's never been about wearing inappropriate clothes that make it hard for boys to concentrate. If that were the case, sandals would have been banned a long time ago because let's be real, ladies and gentlemen, we all love feet. Am I right? No? Okay, I got a little carried away there, sorry. But anyways, what school dress codes is really about is the teachers. What do I mean by that? Well, I have a theory that dress codes are put in place because the teachers are getting distracted, not the students. So let me know what the craziest dress code rules are at your school. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go put on a hoodie, some ripped jeans, a tank top with my whole shoulder showing, and a neon yellow hat. And I'm gonna wear it all at the same time because I can.